I will share worksheet with the kid, and I might want to do the worksheets that are pending, and that is when I will upload it as a later. Okay, give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. I will take questions after I'm done sharing. Okay, one more thing. So for 2nd of October, I know a lot of you took classes and you have updated it as a yes, but the reason why we are not going to update it as a yes is because that day we did not have a worksheet that was scheduled for that day, right? So even though I'm assuming that those of you did classes with the kids yesterday, other than one or two people, you mostly try to complete the worksheets that were pending from before, right? So what you do, so suppose whoever this person is has updated this as a yes, that person goes back and suppose you did say 24th September's work yesterday. So in that case, you go back to the date जिस दिन का काम आपने किए with the kid, ठीक है, and you update that to a later. Okay, you do not have to update that on the next day's mapping sheet. Okay, that is it. Now I will show you one more thing. So for diary entry, very simple thing. You don't have to update pictures of their diary entries. You just click on this checkbox and you update it to a tick, or you leave it empty if the kid did not show you the diary. Okay, now I know a lot of you also thought that you have to follow up with them and do the diary writing with them every single day. No, that's not something we want you to do because that is just going to take a lot of time. So ideally, each of your days with the kids should look like this. You share the number of the day, half an hour before the class with them. You tell them to solve it independently. Okay, reach out to you only if they have any doubts. You can help them out, over WhatsApp or something if they have doubts. Or else, once they're done solving, in the beginning, in the first 5 minutes of your class, you spend that time going through whatever answers they have written for number of the day. That's it. Okay. After that, you spend the major part of your class doing the RC worksheet that will be given, and for diary entry for that day, like that's something we started today, right? So you do not have to spend more than 30 seconds with them discussing diary entry. Okay, you tell them that abhi, like on yesterday, like so today we have done diary writing with them. They know how to do it. They know what the steps are. So it is on them to complete it by themselves. All they have to do is upload take a picture of the diary entry and send it to you. Okay, you do not have to follow up with them, sit with them, and to make them write their diary entry in class. Okay, because that is obviously going to be another class itself. Knowing how the amount of time most of our kids would take if they are to write the diary entry with you in class. So that's it. Okay, so 5 minutes. So number of the day you're sharing before the class. 5 minutes, not more than 10 minutes. You're spending in just debriefing whatever mistakes they make in number of the day. Then you do the RC class with them, and then you ask them if they have done their diary writing. Like you make sure you have that expectation setting with them, but they have to send it to you by default, even without you asking. So that's it. Okay, and you tell them if you don't do it, you're not getting the reward. Okay, that's something we will take up. That's literally all I had to share. Also, apart from that, if you see the uh, row beside the name of the kid, over here I will be updating certain things. I will be updating the yes and no's from the mapping sheet, and it will get updated over here by default. Okay, so you do not have to make any changes on this row. Okay, no changes are to be made on this row. Also, if you haven't written your name on your sheets over here, please write that, and also color the levels of your kids with whatever color buckets they belong to. One more thing, we took the RC assessments last week, and we have come up with a new level. So that is something we will be updating on the sheet. And so we will be making a column on the mapping sheet over here, like another column on the right hand side, and you will have to update the new levels on your sheet. If you see that there is some change in color of the bucket, whatever it is, you make sure that you're taking buckets from the new colored bucket. Okay, give me a thumbs up if I'm if I make sense. Okay, now you can unmute yourself and ask as many questions as you can. Please do ask questions. I think that will be the easiest way for me to able to help you out. Yeah. Also, if you want to give any suggestions that would make it simpler, if you think that this is just too much work, you can also share that. Come on, guys, questions. Yes, Rubab.
So
You raised.
on our individual sheet,
Yeah.
there's a column of diary, like the box on which we have to focus. Right? So is it there like for individual child, or do we have like for
Yes.
all our children for
It's
the
there
entire
for
day?
it's there for each of your kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can you see?
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions, guys? Questions, please, guys.
Hi, I have a
Hi,
question.
Ishita. Yeah.
Hi, I don't see the diary entry thing in my sheet. Am I supposed to do
I
it in
will
my
be
sheet?
no. I will be doing it. I haven't completed
Alright. So it's not in my sheet, so that's why I was just
I will be
wondering.
doing it by end of day. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Guys, I know we've said that we get really stressed with the sheet, so we'd also like to know what stresses you out, right? Like, is it just filling the sheet? What is taking time here? So that we can also figure out what we can make easier for you guys.
Come on, guys, be like your kids. They will tell you, right? If they don't like the worksheet, if they don't want to study, be like those people. We are literally like our kids, okay? So we won't mind. Please tell us whatever you have in mind. Okay, we'll wait for a minute, and if we don't have questions, I guess we'll move ahead.
Hi, so I had a question.
Yes, Ayush.
How does one update the color bucket? I'm unable to do that.
Okay. Thank you for asking. Okay, so you literally go to that RC level, that cell, you click on the fill color button from here, and you click on whatever color. Yeah, so we click on green, and it gets updated.
Yeah, cool.
Simple.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have, guys? If you want to also put your questions on chat, you can also do that.
I also have another question.
Yes, Ishita.
So if they send multiple pictures on the same day, like one for the math worksheet and one for the RC and one for the word of the day, so we have to put multiple pictures on the same cell. How do we
You
do
don't
that?
have to put multiple pictures on the same cell, so I will show you how to do it. I will try to find somebody who has. One second. So by default, I have entered like three rows for student work, right? So based on how many ever cells you need, you just add a row. So you go to insert and you click on row below and you insert a row below and you keep uploading them one after the other. You do not upload multiple pictures on one cell because that's going to be chaotic.
That's what I was wondering. All right.
Yeah, so if you look over here, Sohail Samir's work, it has been updated. See, there are a lot of cells, right? So that's literally how you have to update it.
Good.
Like with notes and everything, right? Yeah.
Good.
Below the date.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Guys, this is a very complicated Excel sheet. We wouldn't mind if you ask all the stupidest possible questions. Okay? This is like too much data on an Excel sheet. I know it would take a lot of time for a lot of you to load because of the sheer amount of data that's there on it, and it will keep increasing with time. But we can just also. Yes, Akash, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, so I had a question that are the reasons that we write if the student is not completing the work on time, is that necessary to write in every case? Because sometimes there is no reason. They just aren't able to complete it on time, they have slept off or something, and they make sure they complete it the next day. So are the reasons necessary?
So if the so you can take your job, like it's up to you to take your own call and figure out whether you want to put on the reason. But we would ideally want the reason to be there if the kid is doing the work later on, so that we can literally have that because based on our expectation setting, they are supposed to do their work every single day, right? So if certain kids are not doing it every day, we can take it up with them whenever the fellow POCs or you guys are coming to the sheet. So that is what is important for us to keep track, so that later on we can be like, okay, so you have submitted for out of 6 for 30, 35 days and you haven't submitted it on time for 20, 25 days, and how can we help you, to submit it on time? So I think that's the only reason why we want you to update it. So yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
My individual sheet, the number of the bucket level is different, and on the learning map, it's different. It says 4.5. Similarly, all are changed.
Go to the mapping sheet. Give me like a second. I will try
Yeah.
to look at it and tell you what's happening.
Shita,
That
that
will be
must
best.
also be the new RC levels that must have been updated.
Right.
Yeah, so
So
it wasn't
plus-
updated on my individual sheet, it was just updated on the mapping.
Yeah, so make sure your individual sheet has the updated version of the RC level.
Yeah, so we will be updating the new RC levels on Monday. So
Okay.
you will just, all of you will have to cross check the RC levels that are there on your sheet and on the
Okay.
mapping sheet, just to make sure that if there are any changes in the color bucket of the kid, because as you know that the plans for the kids change based on the color bucket that they are.
Alright.
It's going to be boring if you don't ask questions. Come on.
Which says, can we freeze the column with the kid names written in the mapping worksheet?
Yeah, okay. We'll do that so that you don't have to scroll. Absolutely make that.
Subodh, there's another one. Once says that they have not taken round 3 of their assessment yet for RC.
I didn't get that. Can you repeat the question?
So one of the volunteers said that round 3 assessment has not been taken yet by the student, RC.
Okay, so we'll get back to them on that, because chances are we might not administer assessments anymore, right? Because we will take assessments again in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Okay, Arzu, do you want to take it up now? We can come back for questions again. Okay. I will stop.
Audible? Yeah, all right, amazing. I'm
Yes.
just gonna keep my video off so that I'm just gonna keep my video off so that I'm audible and you can hear me better. All right. So I'm just gonna show you something that you guys have been doing this entire week. It's the lesson plan, right? I'm sure all of you must have gotten at least one day to sit with your kids and do this. This lesson plan is for an RC level 4 and above, but pretty much it looks very similar. The objective is we will be able to read, understand the story, and make inferences, that is make connections, right? All right, then we move on to telling them that, whenever you see a character, the first thing you do is you annotate, is you underline, right? When you see the action of the character, you underline that too. If you see a difficult word in the passage, you circle it and you try to reread to understand what does it mean, right? The third one, I don't think we have touched this because this is something that I wanted to take in the next week. So I think for this week, these were the 2 steps that we were focusing on collectively, right? Yeah. Okay. And the lesson flow is pretty much read the passage, comprehend the passage, that is understand the passage, read the questions, understand the questions, and write down the answers. Very simple, very basic, right? You show them what the book is, which topic it is, or what is the story about, and then you also give the author's name, right? Pretty much similar. Then you give them new vocabulary that they need to write it down in their notebook. This is something that we'll have to start practicing, is ask them to write these vocabulary down in their notebook. Yeah. Once you're done with this, all right. Now, when a child is solving this from this to this, there are some difficulties that I can clearly see. Anyone who wants to come off mute and tell me what could be number one thing that might be difficult for the kids to understand in this passage? Like off the bat, if you had to think like one thing in this passage that will make the kids confused or it will be difficult for them to understand. Anybody who wants to come off mute and answer? Please. Yes. Anybody? No, I think pretty much this is an easy passage for us.
Maybe the name of the crow, because there is no context here.
All right, name of the crow. Yes, actually, yeah, that could be. But I've just picked a passage randomly from the middle. I'm sure we'll start off with the story with the name of the crow as well. So yeah, Vibha, that could be one confusion. Yes. What else? What could be difficult? Yes, Archana, I see you have unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe firstly, maybe some of the words, and because they fail to understand some of the words, they can't make sense of the passage as a
Amazing.
whole.
Yeah, you were spot on. So these are some of the difficult words that I can see. And just because these are difficult words, it's not easy for them to understand these words, and that's why they cannot understand the sentence kya bolna cha raha hai, right? So what we are going to do is today we are just going to do two simple, very simple strategies that you are going to go back and practice with your kids. I'm pretty sure by now you must have figured it out, but I'm just going to give it a name, right? Okay, so strategy number one is the breakdown is happening. One, when the kid is not able to understand a big word or read a big word and new word. And the second one is when they are not able to understand the meaning. I think the major breakdown, the big breakdown that happens जहाँ पर passage ही नहीं समझ में आता तो उन लोग questions कैसे solve करेंगे, right? So what do? The first strategy that we are going to encourage them to do is we are going to ask them to break down the difficult words, and that strategy is called chunking. Okay, when you chunk, when you break big words into smaller words and big sentences into smaller sentences, right? What it's going to look like basically is remembered is remembered. Remembered. This will also help them to read that word, right? I'm just gonna tell you one more thing that we can do is we can ask them to draw slash marks. If the word is too difficult for them to read or the sentence is too difficult, we can ask them to cut it down, chunk it, break it down, right? And this is how it's going to look like. He was always restless, fidgeting about investigating. Ask them to break it down. Ask them to put slash marks, then read it. And I think it'll be slightly more easier for them to read. Any thoughts so far? Does this look okay? Have you guys tried it with your kids? I can see Karishma is giving me a thumbs up. Abarna, do you have anything to add?
Oh, no, this looks like it's perfect. Actually, I was wondering how we will take like big words with like Saif is like really struggling, and I was not able to explain it to him properly. So this idea is like really nice. Thank you so much.
No problem, no problem. This is actually a word strategy which will only help our kids read better.
Yeah.
This is a reading fluency strategy. This is called chunking. They have done this in the past with us. And I'm sure you remember this, but you just have to reiterate the
yeah, thank you.
No problem. Okay, I just want quick thumbs up from all of you so that I know I have to move on, because most of you I can't see you because your cameras are off. Okay, I can see Ashina is giving me a thumbs up. Preeti, Shreyashi, Suti, Sadrupa, Dhucha, Saviksha, Ayushya, amazing, Isha. All right. So most of you are with me. I'm just going to move on to strategy number 2. Thank you so much, Ishita and Rubab as well. All right. Strategy number 2 is making meaning. Now they have broken down the words, right? So they make meaning of that word because something like a fluttering or investigating is too difficult for our kids to understand in the first meaning. Um, First is breaking down the word. Can anybody come off mute and tell me how will they break down the word? Guys, we just discussed it.
Is it syllable by syllable?
Yes. We are going to do chunking, yes. Isha. Yes, just that, right? And then we are going to move on to read the whole sentence and look for context clues to see what the word might mean. Now what they're doing is basically become investigators, right? They will try to investigate the sentence, try to understand के exactly mean क्या करेगा पूरा sentence पढ़ने का, and then try to understand the meaning of that one word. How it will look like is he would hop across a table to empty a matchbox of its content. I see a difficult word here is content. I have broken it down, content. I have chunked it, okay? He would hop across a table to empty a matchbox of its content. Matchbox के अंदर क्या रह सकता है? Maybe matchstick. Okay, I'm going to replace content with matchstick. I will try to read the entire sentence again. He would hop across the table to empty a matchbox of its matchstick. Does the meaning of it change? No. It still remains the same. So probably content का मतलब ये होता है कि मैच बॉक्स के अंदर जो भी है उसको बोलते हैं content. And that way my understanding of the sentence is correct. Yeah? So far with me, does this make sense? I would like some thumbs up and raise of hands if you're not understanding, or you can come off mute, you can drop a message in the chat box. Thank you, Akash. I will also be sending these two screenshots of the PPT, so it's helpful for you to do this. Now, what's going to happen is every time our kids are chunking and making meaning, this right here is step 1, step 2, and step 3. It seems a lot right now because they've never practiced it, right? But once they get in a habit of doing this every single time, it's going to become their second nature. And it'll be easier for them to solve everything later on. Yeah? We've tried this in the classroom. It has worked in the past. Do try it and do share your experiences with us on the group as well. It's working. Can we do something better? So these you can do from next week onwards with the kids, which will help them understand the passage really well. They will be able to read it fluently. At the same time, it won't be that overwhelming for them. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, so I'm just quickly going to take you through what are the changes that are coming into the math worksheet. The one main change that we are doing is the one main change that we are doing is that we're removing the bottom multiplication that they do, the number of the day into 1, into 2, into 3, into 4, into 5. And that's about it. I have given you guys to fill up a feedback sheet, and I am looking at that feedback sheet. And I think the two things that I'm seeing is that students are struggling with division 1, and sometimes it's too large a number for them to do. So with division, we are kind of working towards doing a worksheet every weekend that's breaking down the steps of division. I think you would have done one today itself, and similarly we're going to build towards that. In terms of strategy, we are going to work towards the two strategies that I've shared with you for multiplication and division. I think those videos are easy enough, but I'd love to just hear from you. Where are you struggling and where are the kids struggling? If you've already written it on the sheet, I am working towards adapting that. But if there's something that you'd like to share, I am all yours. Yes. Guys, this is a great time for you to tell me where you're struggling, where your kids are struggling. There are no dumb questions. Even if your math is bad and you're struggling with that, that's okay. I'm very scared of math and I'm currently a math teacher, and that's its own thing. I have a raise of hand. Rubab, your hand is raised. You want to go? You want to say something?
Yeah. So it's not like particularly about us, but then when we have like number of the day and word of the day, and then on top of it we have an RCQ, like it becomes very hectic to make because RC worksheet takes a lot of time to complete that. And then on top of the child has to do the past also and in the word of the day. So it becomes very hectic for the child. So for us also to do it on time and complete the worksheet, it takes 45 minutes maximum, let's say, for the arts worksheet. Because during the class also they get distracted, someone they cut the call a few times. So keep it.
Yeah. So I think your voice was a little shaky, but what I'm getting is that you guys have been struggling with time, and I know that all of you have been spending one hour with your kids minimum, and that amounts to like 4 or 5 hours in your day. And so overall, what we have been reiterating is that we have started cutting short bits and pieces of each task, right? We have removed word of the day as an alternative thing completely, and we're going to try and see how this works out, and if this is giving you more time. Another thing that was bought, like that I'd like to bring to your attention, is that usually in class when we did number of this, if I'm not wrong, so you have to push them to say that you are getting 10 minutes, you will close this in 10 minutes, and you're not going to let them stretch that out. You can also begin to start that practice, like before you start your class, you will send them the worksheet, you will say, Didi will only discuss your answers, you will finish this before I come to class. So start trying to figure out how to push your kids to finish like at least number of the day before you even begin to start class, and start like solving doubts in that period instead of letting them solve it with you on video call. These are just some of the things I'm seeing on the top of my head. But also, guys, I know some of you are really acing how you're doing your time management. And so I'd love for someone who's figured something out that's working for them to come share. Okay, there's a lot of silence, so I'm guessing we're all just struggling with time management.
Okay, I'll share one more thing. I think if your kids are at an RC level in the yellow bucket or the green bucket, so it would also be helpful if you share the RC worksheet with them, since they are already at an RC level where they are able to read and do things kind of independently. I think since the yellow bucket worksheets and the green bucket worksheets would comparatively be more complicated compared to the blue bucket and the gray bucket worksheets, I think you can also share the RC worksheets with them before the class and tell them to start reading the paragraph. Yeah. Want to share a little bit.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, Ashley.
Yeah. So in the first round of internship, when I used to teach, like I used to teach 5 kids, and then I used to kind of manage my time in such a way wherein I used to ask them that, what is like, when are they free? And then I used to also map out my schedule that when I think I am in that zone wherein, I'm happy teaching them, because I just don't want to teach them and get over with it as a part of my day. But I also wanted to make sure that I am equally fresh when I'm teaching them. So I used to map out my time like that, and then divide amongst all these 4-5 beautiful kids, and then I used to teach them. And sometimes it got a little it was a little difficult to manage, because we used to teach them on different times. But then I think we got used to it. And like here also in the second round, like I am still studying, so I have my college also, but then I make sure that whenever I'm teaching Sohail, so he is free in that particular time, and even that becomes a break for me to come out of my studies and enjoy some numbers with him, or word of the day, or teaching him RC. And then I give him a call in the morning that this is what you're supposed to do for this is what you're supposed to do for today. So then if there's any doubt, he kind of tells me beforehand. So I kind of manage it, like, I know I'll have to spend some time more with him or less time with him. So the trick that I use is, I give him a call in the morning, and I make sure I send him all the work which he is supposed to do, and I discuss with him. And if he has any doubt, so then I take a little longer to explain him during the class. So I think this is helping me out. And then yes, I also give him a call during night that ye nahi bheja hai, so please give it to me before you sleep and complete your work, and so that I can also complete my work. So then yeah, and I sometimes tell आप नहीं complete करोगे so मुझे डांट पड़ेगी, मुझे सुबह भैया डांटेंगे. So he's like या नहीं मैं भेज दूंगा. So I use a little trick because I need to update my sheet.
Thank you for sharing. Guys, anybody wants to share anything? Anything else that you want to
I had a
share?
question.
Or we move on to the next
Sorry.
part?
Yeah.
Yes,
Did I hear
yes,
that we eliminated the word of the day completely, or is it just for this week?
What do we? Yeah, as we were answering.
So we did understand that, it was getting too overwhelming for a lot of us to complete all the 3 worksheets at the same time. So what we have done for now is we are going to anyway have like vocabulary words in the passage. So what we are just going to do is to pick one of the vocabulary words, get the meaning of it, and also ask them to make. So we're just simplifying the process of the word of the day and sentence of the day, and number of the day we are reducing like a couple of steps that we usually used to do, so that we can cover more and you can spend more time with them doing RC worksheets or just conversations or something that they need help with, and you have identified, okay, this person is not good at grammar or punctuations or anything of that sort, and work during that time on that, because our goal is not to have you give them worksheets and wait for them to solve and then okay, class is done. Our goal is for you to have those feedback spaces with them where this is working good, this is something that we should work on, this is how we're going to do it. So mainly because to give that time to you guys. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
I'd also just like to give a quick shout out, because I think a lot of my volunteers have been reaching out, telling us this is not happening. This kid has, internet on their phone, but they have not been coming to classes. I was on a call right before this, and I love that. So I think we really, really value communication. And if you are struggling and you don't want to say it in the large group, it's okay. You know who's teaching math, you know who's teaching RC. Come message us individually. We're here, we're listening to you. There are steps being taken at each point, and you just have to reach out and say that.
They're not being able to contact some children. So I'm sure all of us have at least one child we are not able to contact at all. So in case of those problems, I just want to give a shout out to all of you who are constantly trying to reach out to that kid, because it is extremely important for all of us to keep reaching out to that kid. Also, not to get overwhelmed or even think of the fact that you're not able to reach that kid. We keep trying, and once we are also trying it from our end, so we kind of give it a gap for some time, and then we'll again try some other methods. So don't worry at all about that aspect. That I know you all really want to make sure you're reaching out to all your kids, and it's a great step that all of you are taking every single day, and also keeping us updated also on that aspect. So it is really nice that you all are already. Just a big shout out to all of you for those things.
Meghna, your hand is raised. Do you want to come off mute?
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. All right. So this is in regards to what Arzu just said about the aim being feedback is, and that is what I had understood when we begun. When we had begun. So now what's happening really is that we're spending the time trying to take them through the through the RC worksheet, trying to get them to understand. So a lot of a lot of the chunk of the time is going into that. Now, I have two peculiar cases. One has a very short attention span and I'm only on the phone with him. So having a Zoom or having a visual is not possible. And I have another one who is very, very hard pressed. So what's happening is they're just solving it and sending it to me. And there is in the, in the race of finishing up and all of that, the feedback as such, I don't find that the kids have the time or the interest for it, really. So the purpose kind of seems to be a bit defeated there. And I'll come to maths once we tackle this thing.
Why are we so silent?
Am
Yeah.
I there?
Sorry, just I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think what I'm hearing from you is the lack of time, one. And the second thing about how you're trying to squish in and finish work and then not having enough feedback time, two. So I think one thing that I can suggest on the top of my head is that with where they're stronger at, make them do some of the work before you get on call with them. Like if your kid is stronger at math, then send in that number of the day and let them kind of begin on that before you kind of bring in. And also, like, I think one thing that I have been telling my volunteers is that we focus on like quality more than quantity. So even if your child is really struggling with attention and you can finish one worksheet well, I think that goes a longer way than trying to finish all three of your worksheet and having no feedback. But I'd love for Arzu, Suvadi, for you guys to pitch in on what you guys think as well.
I think we have designed the worksheets in such a way that one objective that we are taking that's running for 2 weeks, right? So I think in the first 2 days, you just, make them understand the objective, how it's done. And I think after the first 2 days or 3 days max, they'll be able to understand at least iske baad ye karna hai, iske baad ye karna hai. We have kept it a lot consistent in nature when you go to see the objectives and also the worksheet. What might be a breakdown, which I can see, is definitely the time that when we are coming to the class, that's when we are solving the worksheet. What can happen is the first 3 days you do it with them. And then after those 3 days, you just give them the worksheet, ask them to solve and come when they're coming to the class. And then you rectify the errors that they've been doing and then give them feedback. So I think that could be like that could be something that's going from your side, that DB first 3 days, DB is only going to do the worksheet with you, and the next 2 weeks, how many days left? 6 days left. That's when we are only going to rectify the errors that we've been doing in the worksheet. Yeah, I think that's something, a structure that we'll have to check with the kids.
Yeah, that's where I said, I have two peculiar cases. One is very, is kind of a stickler to his 1 hour that, 1 ghanta ho gaya, now class time is over, now this is it, I have a headache, I'm going to sleep. So one is a peculiar case in itself, which is only on the phone. The second guy is a very hard pressed chap on time. It's not that he doesn't want to do it or he doesn't like the feedback. There are a lot of things he's fitting in 1 day. Well, that's a peculiar case. I can discuss it with my POC as well, but and I have, in fact, but I'll try and see if anything else can be incorporated, because I do see errors coming in the work, but it's just that going back to them is becoming an issue, because we are so much behind task trying to finish the work of 2 days earlier. This thing kind of takes a back seat, and the feedback per se is not happening. So I can take it up with POC later and try to incorporate the changes that we can probably make.
I think it's okay if you want to, like, if the worksheets, there are a lot of worksheets that you're lagging behind on. I think it's okay if you want to, like, follow a delayed track. I think that's perfectly okay. There's no problem with that. Also, I think just to give you a little bit of context, I think we have a lot of kids. So one of the major reasons, like, even if the kids are, like, not growing academically, I think this is like a check-in that we are having with one of us, and at that, like, 1 hour of time or 40 minutes of time when they are, like, talking to us or communicating with us, we know that they are there, and, like, there is some input that is going towards their education and their growth, even if they are not growing. I think at this point, I think just the input going from our side is really, really important, and that counts a lot.
Right.
I think there are a lot of kids who are currently even working in factories selling vegetables in the community, and I think most of the lives are really difficult, and it is just turning out to be more and more difficult with time.
Right.
So I think even if they're having that 1 hour of space when they're interacting with us, and even if you're just trying to distract themselves, I know it will be hard. There will be kids who wouldn't want to study. Honestly, if I were one of the kids, I might also not be somebody who would have wanted to study. But I think it's very important for us that we make sure that they are not completely losing the habit of reading, and even just that little connection that they're having. So I think even if you are not able to see a lot of meaning in that, I think it holds a lot of meaning. Yeah, and I think you will definitely be able to understand that after a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you, Aigna. Yeah.
I would just like to add on what Subodip was saying. So in case you have any child or a kid who's not interested at all in just studying for the whole day, or who just doesn't want to do something, I know you have a lot of sheets to complete in terms of the lagging aspect, but also just keeping in mind, how do you get the child involved within that space? Maybe try something else. Maybe think of some other activity that you can get them engrossed in, something you can just create on your own, or you can just take it from the net anywhere and get them involved in doing that activity and building a connection with you, or the communication with you. Maybe if you just spend that some time, just before you start off your class, a 10 minutes of time just trying to build that communication in the starting, maybe that way the child can get involved. And you can also tell the child that once we finish the work for today, we will do another game or something like that. They try different things where you can fit other kind of activities within that space, so that the child is also equally involved and interested.
Yeah, I think it's just about they shouldn't look at you as somebody who comes in with worksheets every day. That has to be something that they don't associate you with. And trying to break through that is a lot of trial and error, honestly. And you know this better than we do, because you are doing this on a daily basis. So speak to other volunteers, look at what your peers are doing as well, and you will hear a lot of interesting things that are happening. Because I know within my small POC circle, there is a lot of things that I hear. So talk to people, ask them what they're doing, what is working for them, and that will really, I think, help make your day easier, the kids' day easier, and everything overall.
It's funny, because this child who's the not interested child, quote unquote, I give him 10 minutes to finish something, 5 minutes I have the work. So promptness, is super prompt, I must say, with his work, and with the neatness with which he does it. And I have no issues with that. It's just the other child is, he's a little, I'm a little worried about him as well. So,
Can
yeah.
we share something here?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, so I had this similar issue when I was, working with the kids initially in the first section of my internship. And then it was so difficult to literally, help them concentrate on their work. And then, because eventually even we would lose our interest. But then that should never happen. So what I started talking to the child that, अच्छा आज क्या किया, आज क्या खाया, कहाँ गए थे, या फिर कल what did you do yesterday after completing the worksheet, who are your friends, or else if there's a question that comes in about your favorite color, or in most of the times in RC we had really amazing value based worksheets last time also, even this time it's been just 2 to 3 weeks, but then last time there were so many things, and then we used to kind of relate those things कि अच्छा आपको अच्छा लगता है, ऐसा हुआ, आपको क्या लगता है. So when I slowly realized that in 2 to 3 days that child started to open up. He was talking to me, he was speaking to me about his interests, and then I kind of built up that relationship with him, that he no longer saw me as a person who was coming and completing the worksheet. So I used to tell him that आज मेरी दादी माँ बोल रही हैं कि बहुत अच्छा से पढ़ाई किया आपने. So he was like, अच्छा दादी ने सुना कि मैंने ऐसा ऐसा पढ़ा, आपको सुनाया आंसर. So I kind of built my connection with the kids like that. So this was just a little story or experience that I wanted to share.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see all of us, but we were grinning ear to ear. Yeah.
Okay, before we close out, I think we would want to close out by sharing, some of the fun experiences with our kids. So I think I will go so that, you know that I think this is becoming you guys are probably taking it a little too seriously. It's not supposed to be that serious. Like, it's okay. We are not going to take guns and come to your houses and kill you if you don't update the Excel sheet or if you get it wrong. I think that's completely okay. We are not going to hold you accountable if our kids are not coming on calls with you and studying. That's completely okay. Yeah, beyond certain points. Yeah, but I think it would what would help us in going what would help us to just make sure that we have the energy to go ahead and engage with our kids every single day is also to find out the fun aspect of it, how they are just kids, and most of them are really immature. So if you could just connect on them at that level. So I will start off with sharing one of my experiences with one of the kids recently. So I think this was the first time in 2 years of me knowing them that I blocked one of the kids. So it was 11 o'clock at night, and I do not mind messages, floods of messages coming from the kids. Like, there have been times when they would send me a million hearts. I would also send them, we would literally do that emoji war thing. They would send me pictures of different emojis. I would do that, right? And that's not something I mind, right? So, but however, this week somebody made me understand what my breaking point would be, and I think for anybody to be able to make me reach that point where I would be like, oh my god, this is something that I cannot do. I think so. One of the kids at 11 o'clock, she messaged me and she was like, okay, Bhaiya, send me all the pictures that you have of me, that you have taken of me in the last 2 years. I was like, okay, Baba. And she also said that she has to share it with somebody urgently. I was like, okay, I'm really sleepy. And I was actually really sleepy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be that sleepy at 11 o'clock that I wouldn't even be wouldn't even have the energy to send a couple of pictures to a kid, right? It's a very simple thing. And I was genuinely really tired that day. And then she was like, oh, please, 100 please messages, and 20 voice notes. And I did not have the bandwidth to even reply to those voice notes. And then she's like, okay, if you don't send me the messages, I will call your mother. I will keep calling you. I will keep messaging you. I will keep sending you voice notes till you send me the pictures. And I waited for another half an hour, and by 12 o'clock she had called me some 20-30 times, and I was like, okay, I feel like crying now. I don't know what to do. I've known this kid for 2 years, but I don't know what is up with her. So I was like, okay, this is it. I've never blocked somebody. I'm going to feel bad for this for my entire life that I blocked one of my kids, but I will have to do it. And then that's when I ended up blocking them. I still haven't unblocked them because I'm still scared because she's going to scold me when I unblock her. So yeah, if you guys would also want to share any stories that you have, just yeah, I know Karishma gets on video calls with Zara and Zara's friends and at random hours of the day. Anything else, guys?
I have to leave in a minute, so I'm going to share something really quickly. Firstly, guys, I've been in the fellowship for about 3 or 4 months, and this is the happiest I've been for a very long time. So I'm hoping that you guys, beyond being stressed, are finding you're having fun with the kids, because that's the whole point of working with kids, right? They're not adults. They're super fun and they're so stupid, and there's so much space for you to be stupider in those spaces. And I hope you're doing that. I'm going to quickly share so I've seen the kids only on video camera, on video calls, right? So I see them only at this part of my screen. And so I'm still getting to identify all the kids, and there are a few kids who don't ever switch on their videos, okay? And they're just their videos, okay? They'll tell you it doesn't, it works, but they won't switch it on. And one of the kids has recently in classes started switching on videos for 10 minutes during the class, and honestly, and he looks like an egg, okay? I'm sorry, but he looks like such an egg, and I can't tell you, I have been happier this whole week because I've gotten to see his face a little for 5 minutes it'll be on and then it'll be off, and the only time it's on is also when there are games going on in class. So I think that just little things give you a lot of joy, at least they do for me, and I'm hoping you're finding those little windows in your life as well. I am going to leave right now, but yeah, I'm hoping somebody, who's the kid, I'm not going to tell you. Okay. Okay, see you guys.
I know which kid Akriti is talking about, and I have a little story about the very same kid. So this exact the same kid. Uh, for me, to do something exactly on point of time was something I'm learning to do since I've joined the fellowship. So timing is something I'm like relearning for myself, and also consistency within that timing. So when you tell your kid that you'll get a work within this time, better give that work within that time. I have the same kid who asks me at point. So if I say 4 o'clock and if my work is not out at 4 o'clock, he'll call me 10 times. He will message me the same question, Didi, where's the work today? Where's the work today? Where's the work today? 10 times. So I'm thinking, for me, it's like just this one kid has kind of taken the consistency for myself in another level. I'm still learning. It's not like I've become great. I'm still learning.
Something very similar with one of my kids. So she's very prompt. Like when I tell her there's class at 5 p.m., she'll immediately start messaging me around 4:40, 55, 4:56. And if I'm a couple of minutes late and then I happen to message her around 5:10, 5:15, there'll be no sign of her. Maybe because she thought, oh, 5 was the window and I'm out after that. So if she comes back at 6 and then she texts me, she'll be like, I'm here. So basically, she's right. She was there and I was never there at the exact window of time. And every single time she calls me and then she's like, Didi, aapne bola tha and then you weren't there. Main wahi thi, aap nahi the. And it's just that she's completely right with her timing, and like it's always Azim who has to like work around her.
Thank you for sharing, Archana. Anybody else who wants to share, guys? Come on, guys, share whatever.